Any person wishing to address the board may state his or her name and address. Persons may address the board on matters or issues which are relevant and germane to the county government as determined by the chairperson. No person shall be allowed to speak more than once on the same matter, excluding time needed to answer commissioners' questions, if any. Chairperson shall control the amount of time each person shall be allowed to speak, which will not be allowed to exceed 3 minutes. Chairperson may, at his or her discretion, allow an additional opportunity or time to speak if determined germane and necessary to the discussion. Public comments will be solicited during the 2 public comment periods noted in the rules 5.3 and 5.4 of the Rules of Order. However, public comments may be received during the meeting if a specific agenda topic is scheduled for discussion by the board. Prior to the first public comment, the chairman will indicate the topics on the agenda, chairperson, shall indicate which topics on the agenda for public comment will be accepted, if any. Members of the public wishing to comment should raise their hand or pass a note to the clerk in order to be recognized and shall not address the board until called upon by the chairperson. The board should not comment or respond to a person who is addressing the board. Silence or non-responsiveness by the board should not be interpreted as disinterest or disagreement by the board. Please be respectful and refrain from personal or political attacks.
Thank you. At this time, we are going to open it up for brief public comment. Keep in mind that there is a time limit of 3 minutes per speaker. Raise your hand, please, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, my name is Tom Kors from Maple Forest Township. Excuse me. I talked to Mr. Compo the other day and was asking about the hazardous waste day that we used to have, and apparently it was not last year and was not going to be this year due to funding, and in part because didn't have somebody to kind of chair it and to see things through. So what I would like to see is the tire, the e-waste, and the hazardous material day all on the same. I think it's June 10th, the second Saturday of June, and run at the same time. And if they needed somebody to kind of help ramrod the thing and chair it, I will do that.
Thank you. Okay, yes, sir. You please state your name and.
Yes, ma'am. The name is Otsego County Commissioner Jonathan Turnbull, United States Army Major, retired. Residence 3466 Peanut Hill, David, Michigan. I wanted to come here today, thank you for allowing us to come and speak, to encourage you guys in the opposition to the Camp Grayling expansion. I know there's a lot of different opinions of the matter, but I wanted to speak first and foremost towards the, with regards to the opposition. The Otsego County Board of Commissioners, we voted unanimously to oppose the expansion based on our constituents. We've also had 6 of our townships have created resolutions in opposition to it. A lot of people have said that this is, counter to the military, or it shows negativity towards the military, and I want to stand here before you guys today and let you know that nothing could be further from the truth. That after graduating high school, I joined the United States Army, fought in 2 wars on 3 continents, leading hundreds of men and women into combat on nothing but our shoes against overwhelming odds, artillery, tanks. I helped establish 2 governments, legitimize them, and remove terrorism and those kind of people from this world. Actions led to an assassination attempt by the Islamic State, known as ISIS, a suicide bomber that killed 4 Americans, left me gravely wounded. You see I have my cane, I'm totally blind, 22 surgeries, 2 years in the hospital to get to where I am today. I'm still being given a whopping 0% chance of survival from my injuries. So that being said, I dare somebody to tell me that I oppose our military, or that I do not support our military, because nothing can be further from the truth. I love our military, and examining these, the concerns of individuals to the opposition, nothing could be further from the truth. In fact, I believe that there are only two entities that are profiting from this expansion, and I know Lieutenant Colonel Terry McNamara is here to my left. He can speak to the data. Numbers don't lie, but two entities profit: politicians and private corporations. It's not the military. This is not something that can help the military. I mean, the military, if it needed help, I'd be the first in line to say support and let's do this, but I've looked at the data and I've examined the research behind it, and a lot of the people that I represent have asked me to vote in opposition to it. So I came here to encourage you guys to stand with your people, to stand with our military, to stand in solidarity with Otsego County, our townships, in opposition to the Camp Grayling expansion. So thank you. God bless our military. God bless our county, our state, and this will defend. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
That's a hard speech to follow. Anyhow, Carrie, I sent you a letter last night. My name is Russ Dubois, I'm sorry. I sent you a letter last night, and it's come to my attention that it wasn't clear on how I stood on this. When my fingers are typing, I don't connect well in making a good letter. I oppose this thing. The reason I oppose it is this area has been depressed long enough from the garden. They paid very little in taxes. They closed down all the tourism. I moved here 23 years ago because it's beautiful places to be outdoors. This is gonna get worse and worse. And now we're gonna use warfare that there's no guarantee, there's no testing, we're gonna be guinea pigs. What happens downrange with this electronic warfare when it goes down and fries somebody's brain beyond the fence? I have a problem with that. So anyhow, I oppose it. I'm sorry for the confusion from everybody. I do appreciate the time to speak, and we'll just leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir, will you give me your name again?
Russ Dubois.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Christy Sorter, Otsego County GOP Chairperson. I am also here to encourage you to pass a resolution in opposition to the Grayling expansion. Much like John said, love our military. I'm one of the people that in Otsego County, I cannot wait to get outside to see the A-10s fly over. It's the sound of freedom. So we do support our military. We love our military. We want them to do great things. But the primary reason that I am in opposition to this is not just because of the detriment to public health that we don't know about, but also the detriment to the land, water, airspace. We know there's already issues with contamination. And in my opinion, we have 3 defunct military bases in northern Michigan. You've got Word-Smith Air Force Base, you've got Kinross, and you've got K.I. Sawyer. If they want to do some testing and they want to do it, then take back the land that you already have and use that property for your testing. Don't take more land away from the people. So, encourage you to pass that resolution, and thank you for your time.
Any further? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Dana Wanga. I am County Commissioner for District 8, in Otsego County. I am co-author of the resolution that we passed in opposition of Camp Grayling expansion. I'd like to encourage you to stand up for your constituents. Join us in saying no more expansions. It doesn't just affect the land, it affects the air. So it affects the air all the way, I do believe, to Alpena. And this is my co-sponsor, Henry Mason, as well on that resolution. So everybody else said it so eloquently, you just to follow up. We're here to support you in your decision, and we're hoping you will join us in opposition of the expansion. Thank you.
Dana, what's your last name?
Sorry, Wingo, W-I-N-G-O.
Okay,
All right,
and
thank you.
co-sponsor was?
Henry
Henry
Mason.
Mason.
Thank you.
Commissioner Henry Mason.
Commissioner Henry Mason.
Yes, sir.
My name's Neil Wallace, I live at 471 McMaster's Bridge Road. I have been working on this for a while. I had the opportunity just about 10 days ago to present the information about the communities coming together to oppose this in Lansing. And the response was terrific. It literally is getting us in the door in Lansing to be heard. And, the response back to me is that the community involvement, the community opposition in this is moving the needle. So I urge you, to adopt this quickly. I don't know when the decision is coming, none of us do, it could be any day, so it's important to get it passed now. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Henry Mason, Otsego County. Not only this expansion, we certainly support what Dana and John have spoken to, but we've also got the governor, and don't forget, many of you are probably aware, has also is spending $100 million of our money for an updating and rather an expansion to an air base, I believe, in southern Michigan. And so it's just furthering something going on here that all of a sudden we're having all of this military buildup, and it's technically a military buildup in the end. Whether you wanna call it a practice facility or this, I would urge you to do the same. Thank you.
Any additional? Yes, sir.
Good morning, my name is Monty Bolus. I live at 6885 Hiawatha Drive in Frederick Township, Michigan. I'm also here to respectfully urge our County Board of Commissioners to vote to oppose the proposed expansion of Camp Grayling. What I'd like to do for the benefit of residents who aren't aware is I would like to read you a list of all the local governments in the 7-county area that have stood together, not just to vote on behalf of their constituents, but to have each other's backs. This is not just about voting for your constituents, this is about voting for Northern Michigan and the soul of Northern Michigan and our lifestyle. In Kalkaska County, the Kalkaska County Board of County Commissioners, the Kalkaska County Road Commission, Bear Lake Township, Excelsior Township, Orange Township, Oliver Township, Blue Lake Township, Cold Springs Township, Garfield Township, and Otsego County. The Board of County Commissioners unanimously voted to oppose the expansion. Also in Otsego County, Hayes Township, Chester Township, Charlton Township, Dover Township, Bagley Township. In Missaukee County, Pioneer Township, Norwich Township. In Roscommon County, Roscommon Road Commission, Lake Township, Lyon Township, Markey Township, Osabo Township, Richfield Township, Bacchus Township, Roscommon Township, Higgins Township. In Crawford County, Beaver Creek Township, Lovells Township, Maple Forest Township, Grayling Township, South Branch Township. In Montmorency County, Albert Township. It's relevant to point out that every township in Crawford County, except one, so far, has voted in opposition of this. Myself and several other people in this room over the last 9 months have attended literally dozens of township local government meetings, speaking on behalf of citizens who oppose this proposed expansion. The one thing everybody has in common is that we all very much support our military, but we do not want to see Northern Michigan further militarized. Once again, on behalf of thousands of people that have been represented by these local governments that I've named off to you, I respectfully urge you to vote to resolve the proposed expansion of Camp Grayling. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any additional public comment? Yes, sir.
My name is Jim Knight. I'm from Bear Lake Township. I'm currently the trustee on the township board. First of all, I want to thank the veterans that came here today, and any veteran that's sitting here right now. Thank you so much for your service for this country, so thank you. I would also please state, you've heard enough from the individuals in here, from surrounding counties and other townships, just how the constituents feel. Probably you've heard that from your constituents here, so I ask that you please consider adopting a resolution to oppose. To join in this, as Neil has stated, we have the attention of the governor. We want to keep that in our favor, so please join us. Thank you.
Any additional public comment? Yes,
Chet Wheeler, 201 Nordic Street here in Grayling. Coming to you today as a first-time attendee of a county commissioner meeting. It's a little overwhelming on my side just to see what you guys do in this moment. But I'm strongly against this, this expansion for a couple reasons that relate to us as a county. In May of 2017, we had our first positive test of PFAS in this area. Almost 6 years later, we don't have resolution. You went over a list of townships and counties that you know, are opposed to it, but in our county and in our townships, our water isn't safe. And this affects me a lot. Go drink the water out of a filter every day in your coffee pot. It's not fun. We don't need to give them more land. They need to fix the problems that they brought on us. As stewards of, as good stewards of our community, those that are here today and those that serve, we appreciate you listening. The military, however, has not been good stewards of this community, and they need to fix the issues that they have helped cause and raise more funds, whether it's new wells or city water expansion. Thank you for your time.
Any additional public comment? Yes.
Cam Jones, 10058 Powell Trail, South Branch Township. Here again today to speak against this expansion. I too am a retired Army, 22 years. My specialty was signals intelligence, electronic warfare, and amongst those specialties, of course, it encompassed long-range communications and things like that, which they're purporting to need all of this extra land for. And I'm gonna tell you, they don't need that. You can do those types of things, did it many times in my career, without controlling the large portion of land that they're seeking to control here. They're going to more than double the size of Camp Grayling, making it the largest military installation in the world. In the world. Currently that's Fort Hood. They're gonna exceed Fort Hood's size by about a third if they do this. And they don't need all that ground if they're just going to do what they simply are stating they're gonna do. But if you're gonna do things like maneuver, if you're gonna establish firing points, if you're going to do impact areas, those would be the reasons. And I would oppose that up here. I have a lifelong love of this land up here, even though I haven't lived here all that long, because I grew up in Michigan and we used to come here all the time, back in the 60s, 70s, 80s. So I have a vested interest. I moved up here because I love it here, and I have a vested interest in protecting the environment that we have currently, and I don't want to just see it destroyed, even though I favor the military, obviously. I don't want to see it destroyed by an expansion of Camp Grayling. So I urge you to vote, to resolve, to oppose this. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional public comment?
Lacey Span, Grayling Township Supervisor. Something that has not been mentioned that I think needs to be mentioned is that pretty much every single conservation group involved in our community and around our community is opposed to this expansion. That is after meeting multiple times with Colonel Myers and General Rogers, which they have generously, whenever they have requested a meeting to get some questions answered, they have met with them. They met with them multiple times. And from them meetings, they still came out in opposition to the Camp Grayling expansion. I think that's noteworthy. Two of these groups were created in our area, in Grayling, Michigan, and they are international conservation groups. Trout Unlimited, Ducks Unlimited, were both created in our community. They would not exist if it wasn't for this community. The Natural River District that the DNR has adopted and uses to regulate and conserve the waterways throughout the state of Michigan was created by residents in Grayling Township. And that has been adopted by the DNR. They did all the local residents did all the legwork and created this group. They are also in opposition to this. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further public comment?
Good morning, Ms. Chair, members of the board. My name is Jim Robson. I'm also a retired lieutenant colonel, active Army. And I served out of my 34 years, 16 of them as a real property subject matter expert. And I still continue to work as one for the U.S. Army as a civilian. the only active Army post in the state of Michigan, so Detroit Arsenal. With that being said, during my tenure, I was on national committees, the TCAC, the Training Center Advisory Council, and the Facility Engineering Advisory Council. Those National Guard level, Washington DC level councils oversee this type of activity. Okay, during my tenure, expanding a National Guard installation was nearly impossible. So then I asked myself, should I oppose this or should I not oppose it? And the more and more I digest it, I have to oppose it, because there is absolutely no connection between the National Guard doubling the size of its installation relative to its state mission under our government and the types of activities that they're saying they want to do. The types of activities that they're suggesting are all active Army activities, whether it's research and development, whether it's testing, doing cyber testing, whether it's testing electronic weapon systems. Not one of those items is a National Guard mission or activity. So unless there was a connection between the National Guard training the troops of the state of Michigan and the customers that we invite from other National Guards from other states, I can't see why there would be any reason why Camp Grayling would need to expand. And I'm coming from the seat of holding the Department of Public Works position at Camp Grayling for 16 continuous years until 2015. So there, I've said my piece. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any additional public comment before we close it? Okay, thank you all. We need the approval of the board minutes for January 12th, 2023. I do believe we have one change.
Yeah, this morning it was noted by Ron Larson that he, on the last page, where he made a comment that he wanted to see the documents opposing the Camp Grayling expansion, he noted that he was in support of the air and ground expansion of Camp Grayling, and he wanted that noted in those minutes. So I have added, and so I would ask that you approve with the addition of that comment.
I make a motion to approve with the addition of that comment.
We have a motion, do we support? Okay, any further discussion? Roll call.
Hang on. Okay, Frederick?
Yes.
Jansen?
Yes.
Lewis?
Yes.
McLean?
Yes.
Engelmann?
Yes.
Powers?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes. Okay, now we are moving down to the approval of the agenda.
So moved, McLean. Support Jansen.
Okay,
So I would make, this is discussion, so I will make the motion that we, add number 4 correspondence from Martha Doobie, as well as move unfinished business, under correspondence, in between correspondence and department reports. I need to retract.
Yeah. I guess, yeah.
Yeah, I'll retract.
Okay, I'll support your retraction.
And then a new
Yeah, I got it.
motion. Okay.
Are you bringing up
I will make
the unfinished?
the motion that we amend the agenda for 2 things. To add number 4 correspondence,
Got it.
From Martha Doobie, which was submitted this morning, as well as move unfinished business under correspondence before department reports.
Beautiful.
Support.
Any further discussion? Okay, roll call.
Jansen?
Yes.
Lewis?
Yes.
McLean?
Yes.
Engelmann? Yes. Powers?
Yes.
Frederick?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes. Okay, at this time, is there any conflict of interest by the board to declare? All right, hearing none. motion to accept correspondence?
So moved, McLean.
Support. We have motion support. Any commissioner willing to take up any of the correspondence?
Need a vote?
What's that?
Need a vote. Lewis? Sorry.
Yes.
McLean?
Yes.
Pinkelman?
Yes.
Powers?
Yes.
Frederick?
Yes.
Jansen?
Yes.
Jameson?
Now, is there any commissioner willing to take up any of the correspondence? Okay, hearing none, we will move on to unfinished business, with the resolution opposing the expansion of Camp Grayling. Before we get into that topic, I do want to, just make a couple of statements, in direction for both the board and for the public. One, I want to make sure that everybody is clear that the board has struggled individually, I think, with their personal opinions on this, which they understand, personal opinions really don't matter in this opinion. We've got to do what is right, and what we've been asked by our constituents in our districts. And so, in that, we've also received, some threatening emails, some threatening, letters, some personal attacks, on the commissioners, which is very difficult for us to sit in this position and take that. I've asked the commissioners that have been victims to that to please try to set that aside, as difficult as that is, okay? We were elected by our constituents in our districts to represent what they've asked us to do. And so, no matter how this conversation goes or how this vote goes, when it is done and said, we will be united as a board, on this, and we have to support that. I've asked each of the commissioners to research in their districts and talking to their constituents, talking to their townships. In my case, I'm to the city, and so we've done that as well. And so I just do ask that personal attacks need to stop, and the threats need to stop. That our families and our welfare should not be affected by this. Okay, that's kind of the whole idea of being able to have a community and a vote and a conversation in this with our people. That's my statement. So. Okay. So we are at the unfinished business of resolution opposing the expansion of Camp Grayling.
So, can I make a motion, manager? I'd like to make a motion to accept the, opposition of the expansion.
Okay.
Support Powers.
Okay. Further discussion? Okay. If there's no further discussion, then I will ask for a roll call.
McLean?
Yes.
Pinkelman?
Yes.
Powers?
Yes.
Frederick?
Yes.
Jansen?
Yes.
Lewis?
Yes.
Jameson?
I'm gonna have to vote no only because my constituents have not come to me on this.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Moving on to department reports. Sheriff?
Morning, everybody. For those new to the room, my name is Ryan Swope. I'm the sheriff of the Crawford County Sheriff's Office. Just in regards to department reports, keep it quick and simple. This meeting, the jail is trying to transition to paperless. We're gonna have a little bit of startup costs in that, but I think that we will recoup those funds quite quickly with receiving not using as much paper. It's kind of a small fish in a big pan on today's topics, but just trying to save some money. So dispatch is going well. Still have 4 full-time employees that are trained and working, and have a 5th full-timer that's going through the training process, and a part-timer going through the training process, which she would be doing quite well. In regards to the road, Mrs. Vitale's doing well in the academy. Still short. Today, we're going through the sergeant's, road sergeant promotion process. we have 3 applicants, and we're hoping to have that, picked by the end of next week, which will ultimately create an additional vacancy, on the road, so, not, so just shorthanded like in weeks past that we've discussed, and we're just trying to figure out how to work through that, so, if you don't have any questions in regards to those things, I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Sandy, do you have anything?
I don't, everything's going well.
Mr. Campbell?
All right, a few years ago, we talked to you about an agreement with Motorola for software, and it was a long-term contract, it was an expensive contract, and they have not delivered. The sheriff has decided to terminate that agreement, and I perfectly or totally agree with them. We've had the assistant prosecutor draft a letter for that, and we've issued it to Motorola, and requesting the termination of the contract and the reimbursement of our money, basically for lack of delivery of services of the product, so we will keep you posted on that. Mental health listening session we did towards the end of December. You've all had, I believe I sent the draft out to all of you. If you've had a chance to review it, I hope. If you have any concerns or questions, let me know or let Sarah know. If not, the next step would be to release that to the public if you're okay with that. So that's what I'm here to ask.
Need a motion for that?
Yeah, it probably makes sense.
I'll make the motion that you submit the minutes as presented from Sarah for the health listening session to the board.
Are you calling it SARA
What?
from Sarah?
Yes, yes.
Oh, sorry,
SAR.
yes.
That's acronym for?
No,
No,
that's
that's her
Sarah.
name.
That's her name,
Sorry.
Sarah.
Okay. I don't know Sarah.
She's with Lakeview
Good
Consultants.
question.
She facilitated the listening session.
Thank you.
So I will let her release that, so she'll send it out to all the participants, and I'll get it posted on the website.
Okay, we have a motion support. Do you need a
I-
roll on that?
Who's the support?
Powers.
Thank you. Sorry, I got stuck on Sarah. Beautiful. Pinkelman.
Yes.
Powers.
Yes.
Frederick.
Yes.
Jansen.
Yes.
Lewis.
Yes.
McLean.
Yes.
Jamison.
Yes.
I've been meeting with the animal shelter probably every 6 or 8 weeks, just to stay updated and whatever they have a new board, over the last year or so, and so it's been beneficial. We're working towards a lease, which we started in 21, or re-up of the lease in 21, and I think we're getting close to that. And we've also agreed, the latest discussions have been around medical care for dogs that we brought in. And we've worked out some rules and protocols to follow, so we've agreed to, redo that, the operational agreement that we have with them, and that'll be coming to you in the next few months, when I get it, when I work all those things out. We had a court employee that we felt we were forced to terminate her employment recently. They grieved it, we met, we believe we're on pretty solid ground, they brought up some concerns for their job. But they've offered a small settlement in that, which is 2 weeks pay. And in the cost of mediation versus the 2 weeks pay, the court judge and I agree that we'll go with that, and we'll also receive a voluntary resignation out of it and a waiver of all claims. So we're moving down that road as well. I got an email from the health department. They wish to put what they're calling a Narcan vending machine out in front of their building. And they're asking if we support or if we're okay with that. So I thought this was great. We have a board meeting tomorrow.
Can I add to that?
Yeah.
If the board is not interested in putting that there, we can tell them that we have one implemented currently in the jail lobby. And if the people need it, they can get it from there.
Yes.
I'd like more information. Do you need it for today?
It would be helpful, but what
I don't know anything about.
Okay, Narcan is for opioid.
I know what
Okay.
yes, I know, we got a little packet from someone, before of little things. What does that look like? What does
It's
that
an old
mean?
refurbished newspaper
Okay.
machine.
It's what I'm picturing then.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and where do you want it to go?
In front of their building,
Whose
on
building?
Norway.
Sorry. the
Our
health
building
department.
for the health department on Norway,
Okay.
across from Good Hills.
Sheriff, do you have any comments on any pros and cons? that you
Say
see?
that if they need it, they can come the extra half a block to get it. But, and I would also be concerned about if it is on the outside being, exposed to the elements. They're in, paper boxes, and I don't know how they would deal with being frozen. So, I mean, if you wanna have it there, I'd say yes, but at the same point, it's just a few steps away, we have it and have it available. So,
Is the jail lobby always open?
yes,
To the
24/7,
public?
yes.
Okay.
Is there any cost to the county to
No.
have that vending machine?
No cost.
Is there a cost?
No.
How do they access it?
It's easy access. We did talk, there was one, I read some articles just this morning on it as far as Narcan, if Narcan is used for opioid overdose, it is not harmful if you don't have an opioid overdose, you take it, it doesn't harm anyone. But there is a syringe, and there is a small glass vial, and there is, for an adult, I think there's no problem. For a child, a small child, age range is fine for a small child, because there could be some concerns there.
That's why I think that the ones that they have in those are the nasal injection.
That's the information, so. But
So there are two different kinds.
Okay, that I did not know.
Ones that you take out of a syringe and administer, but there's also nasal spray that you could use.
Oh, okay.
So, that's what we have, is the nasal spray.
There's one that can use both ways.
Madam Chair, I would also like a little bit more information on those boxes or.
When you have time to think about it, if you could email me some stuff, I'll forward it on. That would be helpful.
If you'd like to come see me, I can show you what we have.
Perfect, thank you.
Outside of that, the audits for fiscal year 22 begun last week and this week. They are expected to be done by the end of March, but all the heavy lifting is happening right now. And along with that, all our tax reporting, our W-2s, 79s, they're on their way, and we're almost done with that. So, let's see if you have any questions, that's all I have.
Moving to commissioners' reports. Start down at the end, Commissioner Burke, would you like to start?
Okay, sure. So in November and December, I did a new commissioner training. Some of it was online and some of it was in person, with a large group of the new commissioners, where we had some nice discussions, and talked about different scenarios for like Open Meetings Act and different things. It was really helpful. This Friday, tomorrow, I'm going to orientation for NEMSCA. I've attended 2 road commission meetings. Road commission primarily, they have a primary estimate for resurfacing Peterson Road in Maple Forest from County Road 612 to Feldhauser Road. There's, funding is being applied for to restore Twin Bridge over North Branch and the Asabo. There's, a special assessment that's being looked into to resurface roads in Fox Run, where there'd be some cost over a certain amount of years for the residents in that neighborhood. The bids are out early for Military Road. They're purchasing a new, not a new, but a 2013 Western Star tandem axle truck. Also, the newly formed broadband task force is meeting next week, and we've also learned that there is a grant called the Robin Grant that is helpful for underserved areas for broadband. And so, they've already started, filling out the, grant application for that. That's due in March 23rd. And that's what I got.
Been busy. Wonderful. Commissioner McLean.
Are you ready, Cindy?
Go ahead.
I do, yeah. Okay, DHHS, the supplemental food stamps from the pandemic is ending in March. They will continue to receive them through January, February. Some people have been receiving those benefits for 3 years now, so get it out there a little bit if you know of anybody. These are the non-budgeted food stamps that are already included in their benefits. Medicaid reviews are going to start again in April, which also hasn't been done in the last 3 years, so people may or may not have benefits after April. March is the new target date to move into their new location by Family Fair. Moving on to Hanson Hills.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
DHHS,
Mhm.
did they ever put in someone from the state level for you guys?
No, we still do not. Nobody has applied for that. So we do still need a state appointee for the DHHS board, correct?
So can we advertise for that, or is that the state that
It's
does
the
that?
state, correct, Sandy?
Yes.
And there was someone that was interested. I don't know if they ever reached back out to them.
Okay.
Hanson Hills, May 20th, they are having the blessing of the bikes, which is a new event to Hanson Hills.
What date?
May 20th.
Thank you.
The Ragnar race is coming back the weekend of 6/23. Blizzard Fest is 2/3 weekend, February 2nd weekend, I'm sorry, for third weekend. They're hoping to do, some cone hole depending on weather, card box sled race on 2/4 at 4 p.m. Hoping to also do some locals, in surrounding county tubing on Wednesdays, time to be determined still, looking at maybe 5 to 8, 6 to 9, $20 a family. Just get people out during the week, doing some things out there. COA, building bids are due back on 2/3, and we will be reviewing them on 2/6. That's all I have.
Question for you on the COVID food benefits. Do you know what percentage that is, if somebody is on those food benefits, do you know what a percentage of that is COVID?
No, but I can get that too. I'm sure Jody
Just
has that.
curious,
Mhm.
it's,
I'll ask her.
Madam Chair, Commissioner McLean, will there be a beer tent at Blizzard Fest?
Hoping to, yes. Lots of activities out there that weekend. There's the big beer, there's, the list is endless, but for the card box sled race, it's 5 people can be in it, no pushing off at the top, so, get your duct tape ready, gotta make it fast and well.
And you can wax it.
I might.
Commissioner Pinkelman.
I really don't have anything except the 30th, I'll be meeting with Tim McGuire for orientation. What I got going on.
Airport board met, talked about some possible signage for the airport. But the person that is in charge of that is currently fighting overseas, so, we'll delay on that. NEMCOG meeting was canceled for snow day. Other veteran cemetery, our group is meeting with Colonel Myers on Monday to talk about the RFP, which is the request for proposal. So that will be, we'll go through the process, and then the request for proposal will be submitted out to consultants to figure out where the best spot in Crawford County is, what makes the most sense. So excited about continuing progress for that. Again, just a reminder for the public, veteran cemetery, first state operated veteran cemetery is coming to Crawford County. That will be 4 years from now until it's operational, so stay tuned for updates on that. Recycling task force, we had our final meeting with RRS. Sandy, I will send you all this.
Thank you.
Resource recycling system. We still have one presentation left to do at Frederick Township, which we'll be doing on Valentine's Day. If anybody's interested in learning more about opportunities at recycling, come on down to Frederick at 5:30 on February 14th. We did do a survey. We had 100 people surveyed, and Crawford County surveys results, some key takeaways that I thought were very promising. 83% of respondents were willing to pay anywhere from $3 to $4 a month, and another 17% would pay $1 to $2 a month, which really fits in well with what we're trying to get, which is Public Act 138. So that's exciting. Respondents really wanted expanded accepted materials at existing sites. As we've identified earlier, that a lot of different sites don't offer the same type of things. What else? And some legislation regarding recycling, Part 115 of PA Public Act 451 was passed with strong bipartisan support. So something that we're gonna have to look at as a county, kind of separate from our recycling task force, is that the state will call for county plans either Q4 of FY23 or Q1 24, and we'll have 6 months to file an intent to plan. So kind of looking at our whole system as how is it working towards getting to that 45% recycling rate that the state of Michigan desires by 2032.
Madam Chair, grants, are they offering grants?
Yep, that's the next bullet point.
Oh, okay.
Yep, so counties will get $60,000 a year plus 50 cents per capita for 3 years for that. As well as they can get up to $10,000 by working with regional entities such as NEMCOG. So I'm assuming that we will be working with NEMCOG, but Paul and I can talk about that more. So again, the current rate for recycling in the state of Michigan is 19%, 30% by 2029, and 45% by 2032, where they go. So our recycling task force, our timeline right now is we're still looking at education and outreach before we garner enough support from townships to move forward. Our timeline is pretty fluid on that part, so that's what we're doing. I also attended the listening session here for the mental health. That was really interesting. It seemed to be really well attended. Got a lot of good input for people who are more closely involved with that. So that's it. End of report.
Thank you. Ready? Yep.
Mine was a bad month. The weather, no quorum, so all my meetings were canceled.
Hopefully canceled before you drove out there. Commissioner Lewis?
I don't have a lot. Library board's doing pretty well, made it through their cash crunch this year. So taxes should be coming in now and they should be doing all right. That's about all I have.
I had a collaborative meeting this month, which really was just kind of maybe one where everybody's trying to get started on the beginning of the year. The other meetings didn't take place, and we do have a mental health meeting I'm going to on Monday, so.
Madam Chair, a question. Collaborative body is the one that does daycare, right? Or
that's one of the topics.
Okay. I hear from people in the community about how they can't get into Head Start programs as a waiting list, can't get into CADC as a waiting list. So that's basically the only options for, like CADC has a 3-year waiting list and they've had it forever. Head Start again has a waiting list too. So
I would have them maybe reach back out to Head Start because that seems to be meeting change.
Okay.
One meeting they're coming and saying we have a lot of openings, get your applications in, so I would encourage to continue to do that, and I wish I had an extra big building that we could open up, but unfortunately they don't.
please just pass on the concern. That would be
Oh,
awesome.
absolutely.
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Yes.
For you. We talked earlier about the health department needing an alternate, to come this Friday, cause I had a conflict with the NEMSCA orientation? Do we have somebody? that-
Commissioner Lewis is going to be attending, yes.
I think I saw that you were included in on the email that they sent out this week. If you're not, I can forward
The
it to you.
package?
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
All set?
I'm all set, yes,
Okay.
thank you.
We're gonna move on to new business, and, we've got the take-home patrol car program. So we've kind of got a couple of line items in about that.
Yeah, there's a few things in there. The policy itself is what you're looking at, and this is for certified law enforcement officers to take their car home if they live in Crawford County. The certification statement is something that will have appropriately signed that needs to, and that was put out by MMRMA, by our insurance carrier, as a kind of a highlight for how they should be responsible. And then, sheriff, put in a letter as far as what you can look at as far as cars go and the costs that are involved with that. I don't think we're okay right at the moment if we would implement.
Yeah, I feel confident that we can implement it currently with the fleet that we have, and the employees that we have that live within Crawford County. And I'd just like to add that I appreciate your time and thought in this. Like every time I see you, we're trying to, come up with new ideas of how to keep employees. I don't think that this is a catch-all, but I do think that it's a great step in the right direction. I know that there's a cost to start, but I truly believe that if it's their car, that they will, respect it more because it's theirs, and hopefully take care of it better, and our cars will last longer in the long run. So even though we have this initial startup cost, I think that in the big picture that we'll be able to eliminate our mileage cap on our patrol cars, which is currently at 125, and keep them implemented for longer periods of time. And I also, I know that in my packet that I provided you with it, there's a lot of pros. I live in the county. The bad guy was pulling into a subdivision and the patrol car parked at a house, the likelihood of him going somewhere else is pretty high. So, I think that there's just a lot of positive things that will come from this, in addition to a selling point to try and get new employees and keeping the ones that we currently have.
I think from a budgetary standpoint, I think down the road, it could very well provide some savings, but I think we need to look at planning. If it's as successful as we would like it to be, then we're going to need more cars. We're gonna need to increase our fleet. I think we should probably look at that over the next 2 or 3 years as far as building up, as opposed to it ending up in a situation where all of a sudden we need 5 cars right now. So I just think that's something the audit committee needs to be aware of when we're doing our budgets.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Will that include the building department to take home the
No,
car? That has to be a vote in itself.
yes.
Madam Chair? Yes. Thank you for putting that together, Paul, appreciate it. What is why they have to, I understand we are Crawford County, but why do they have to live in Crawford County? Is there any advantage to recruit more, or what are the disadvantages, I guess?
I don't know that so much, disadvantage is just longer travel time on the mile, but it was also designed to be an incentive to live in Crawford County. And that was, I think, one of the things we talked about as far as, hoping to have employees for the county, live in the county.
Originally, we looked at it being, like just putting a mile cap on it, like, you have to live within a certain amount of distance, but, I just don't think it looked real good for a Crawford County car to be in Elgasco County, all the time. So, and like Mr. Campos said, I would be hopeful that it encouraged people to move to the community where they live, and, have that small town feel, so.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Sheriff, how many, officers live out?
3. We have two road deputies, one one's, in Kalkaska, one's in Roscommon, and then one of our road sergeants lives, in Otsego.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Are you looking for a motion today?
We would certainly make a motion today, yes. Sorry?
Madam Chair, I would make that motion.
Support.
Motion and support, any further discussion?
Yes, Madam Chair, is that for the policy and for the purchase, or are those the same?
Do we need a purchase?
I think that we could implement it today, but we would not have a backup car, which inevitably would go down. So I would feel a lot more confident if we were able to.
I think you need two separate motions, one for the policy and one for the purchase.
What is the first one for?
Policy.
Okay.
Any further discussion?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Ryan, or Sheriff, so the three that live outside of our county, is there a time adjustment that they can move to the county? How are you gonna handle that?
So all three of them, so we have a rule, in our policy and procedure that they have to live within 40 miles of the office, and they do that, or meet that requirement currently. So there would be no obligation, for them to move here, it's just that they don't get it. And that's something that Mr. Campo and I spoke of, that I'm hopeful that this incentive will encourage them to move here, so if and when they do that, then they would receive that perk. And the hope is that won't happen instantaneous, and it'll allow us to build our fleet over the next 2 or 3 years, that if and when that were to happen, that we could implement that.
I understand, thank you.
Well, we certainly have in the budget for an additional car lease.
Maybe something I have to amend.
All right, so we have a motion and support for, adopting the policy. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Enkelman?
Yes.
Powers?
Yes.
Frederick?
Yes.
Jansen?
Yes.
Lewis?
Yes.
McLean?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes. All right. And then,
Oh. Something on the budget. I will make the motion to approve the purchase as presented in the packet, pending budget review.
We'll find the funds.
Okay.
Support.
we have motion and support. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Frederick?
Yes.
Jansen?
Yes.
Lewis?
Yes.
McLean?
Yes.
Enkelman? Yes. Powers?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes. And that's all the new finished business that we have. And we're now to extended public comment. Yes, sir.
Mike McNamara, Grayling Township. I just wanted to thank the board for passing the resolution in opposition to the Camp Grayling expansion. The other question I had, comment I had, is where would a person find out about the state veteran cemetery? And I don't know if there's courses of action where it's proposed to go yet. There's rumors that it's supposed to be on 72, west of town, but that's a rumor. Don't know if we wanna act on rumors. I'm just asking, is where could a person read more about it other than what was in the avalanche? Thank you.
Any further comment? Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Stokes Hunter, Grayling. I have a question regarding, there's some confusion in the avalanche about the proposals that have passed, and I think some people are assuming that the air expansion and the ground expansion are one and the same, and I would like to know if there's an opposition to the air expansion already enacted, or is it going to be reviewed as a resolution opposing it, or not?
Thank you. Any additional public comment? Sir?
Kim Jones from South Branch Township still. I want to bring up a new subject. I brought it up at the last meeting briefly, but I want to address it a little more thoroughly this time. The primary and most important duty of any elected official is to protect the citizens in their constituency, not only from physical harm, but also from infringement of their rights. And along those lines, Article 1, Section 1 of our Michigan Constitution states, all political powers inherent in the people, government is instituted for their equal benefit, security, and protection. One of the primary rights that our citizens have is codified in Section 6, which states, that's Article 1, Section 6, which states that every person has a right to keep and bear arms for the defense of himself and the state. It's pretty unequivocal. A lot of discussion about the Second Amendment, but our section in our Constitution is pretty unequivocal. And that being consistent with the Second Amendment, which the Supreme Court recently ruled in the State of New York Rifle and Pistol Association versus Bruin, that citizens not only have a right to keep and bear arms in their homes, but also in public places. So in neither of these documents did the people ever grant government or the state to determine what types of arms we may keep and bear, nor has any Supreme Court ruling ever found such a restriction in the Constitution. But in our legislature, there have already been bills introduced that have passed will attempt to take away that power from the people and unconstitutionally restrict firearms that we may own. And since one party now controls our government here in Michigan completely, it's likely that if these bills pass, the governor will sign them. And that doesn't make those laws constitutional, but it would probably result in a long drawn-out court battle, which could take years. And in the meantime, a lot of our citizens could become felons simply because they own something that's currently legal. So what can we do about that? I suggest that you, as elected officials here in our county, can protect the sovereign rights of your citizens by resolving to follow a procedure called nullification, which basically would say, if you pass an unconstitutional law, we're not going to expend any funds, any time for our officers to enforce that. Now, I've spent over 40 years defending our nation and our rights, and I would ask that, respectfully, that you do the same, step up. Livingston County already has stepped up somewhat. They passed a resolution recently that basically does the same thing. Sending a message to Lansing that if you pass an unconstitutional law, we're not going to enforce it. So I'd like to give you a copy of the suggested resolution, if I can. I'll provide you some copies. And you can consider those, and hopefully get them on the agenda in a future meeting.
Thank you for that.
I know it's going to take some time to digest this, right? It's not a concept that most public officials are familiar with or warm up to readily, that we can just ignore laws that are passed by our legislatures, but just because they're passed by the legislature does not make them constitutional.
We're up on time, but thank
Okay,
you.
all right, thank you.
Any additional public comment?
Need a copy.
Madam Chair, can I ask a question? Since the Otsego County Board, part of the board is here,
Yes.
and also the Republican Party, have you guys given any thought to, protecting from legislation against things that are unconstitutional?
Yes, we have.
So what have you guys worked on?
We actually made a resolution concerning COVID well over a year ago, and that was very solidly written with the help of an attorney. And unfortunately, secretly, it got thrown in the trash can. So it never came back to us to be voted on. A board member saw to it to do that, but we've certainly made attempts, and we will be making more attempts in the future. We've got basically a new board. There are 6 new commissioners, and it looks hopeful that we won't trash can things behind the backs of other commissioners.
Awesome.
I appreciate your information. I apologize, I wasn't supposed to be able to ask I wasn't supposed to be able to ask the audience any questions, but I appreciate the input.
Madam Chair, may I? Otsego County did years ago, pass a resolution to be a sanctuary for Second Amendment rights. We will be addressing other things in the coming days to bring forth to the board to protect our constituents in that county. So I'm gonna see you at NEMSCA tomorrow.
Oh, that's awesome. Do you need
You could You can follow up on
We
those
will.
questions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Sorry. Are there any announcements? Alright, hearing none.
Sorry, yeah, one announcement, just there is, Crawford County is hosting a scrap tire and e-waste day on June tenth, Saturday from 9 till noon. So stay tuned.
Sounds like there's a volunteer to help with that.
He's a great volunteer. June tenth, it will all, so going forward, it will be, the e-waste will always be the second Saturday in June, God willing. And now I ruined it.
Just like to thank the board, for your support, as we push through these start times and try and, find people that wanna work, and be in law enforcement. I appreciate your support and, so do our officers, so thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Madam Chair, I will not be here on the 2/9 meeting, noted.
Oh, so I have one announcement, Madam Chair.
Yes.
The Republican, Party is meeting February 13th at 6 o'clock at the Gray Rock.
Anything else before we adjourn?
I will be gone both meetings in February.
Are we adjourned?
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Alright.